When the KTM 1290 Super Ducar concept was first shown at EICMA in 2012, we couldn't believe our eyes. At the time, it seemed so over the top, almost absurd. But now, after having lived with a Super Ducar for more than a year, and also having logged serious miles on two versions of the 1190 Adventure, stuffing the 1301cc twin into the brand new 1290 Super Adventure makes complete sense. How so? With one of the very best electronic packages in all of motorcycling, the Super Adventure can be anything you want it to be. My leading tourer? No problem. Roost-chucking adventurer? Yup. Wheelie-crazed hooligan? Yeah, that too. With engine, and now suspension, management so advanced, there is no such thing as too much horsepower. A couple of quick flicks through the onboard menu, and the Super ADV can be as tame as a kitten or as fearsome as a tiger. But that super-sized V-twin is only part of the news with this bike. It has a whole lot of other features that are just as notable, although none of them get your attention in quite the same way as its engine. The Super ADV's standout features include semi-active WP suspension, cruise control, heated rider seat and pillion, LED cornering lights, electronic engine braking control called MSR, motor slip regulation, and hill hold control (HHC). Not only are these new to KTM's Adventure range, but also they are a first for the Austrian company in general. Before I tell you how the new KTM Super Adventure was to ride, let's take a closer look at some of these features. Most significant is the WP suspension, which has a 48mm fork and a rear monoshock that are electronically controlled by the bike's suspension control unit (SCU). This happens in real time based on information from stroke sensors on each unit and a pair of accelerometers front and rear. The SCU applies damping changes instantly and constantly to maintain the desired preferences selected by the rider in the menu, with comfort, street, sport, and off-road options. These selections are totally independent of the bike's similarly named ride modes. Rear preload can be set via a menu in the computer, while the SCU automatically adjusts damping depending on the load and weight distribution readings it takes from the sensors. While on the subject of electronic wizardry, KTM's MSR is an electronic means of limiting compression braking to the rear wheel, and helping the slipper clutch keep the bike stable under hard braking while downshifting, by cracking open the throttle butterflies slightly to reduce load. Since the stability control system knows the bike's lean angle, this is taken into account as well. Hill hold control, another new feature, keeps the Super Adventure from rolling backward on inclines by automatically applying the brakes for 5 seconds when the ECU senses the vehicle is on a hill, all without the rider having to be on the brake. If the rider hasn't started to move forward after 5 seconds, the brake pressure is slowly released. But if the rider wants HHC to re-engage, all he needs to do is reapply the brake to start the cycle over again. This should make getaways a snap when you have a passenger and fully loaded bags. Another cool feature, 2 LED arrays built into the leading edge of the fairing. These are not auxiliary lights in the traditional sense. They illuminate only when the bike is banked over. The 3 LEDs on both sides are aimed at different angles, and they light up in sequence as the Super Adventure reaches different lean angles. At 10 degrees, a single LED lights up, followed by the second at 20 degrees, and then all 3 at 30. This is designed to dramatically improve lighting on a twisty road at night by filling in the void when your leaning motorcycle's headlamp is pointed off the road at places you really don't want to end up. Back to the one thing that makes the KTM Super Adventure such an e-ticket ride, its engine. Although sharing many components with the 1290 Super Ducar powerplant, such as the cylinders, connecting rods, and pistons, the crankshaft's flywheel mass has been increased by 4 pounds and 40 pence for improved bottom-end performance. The cylinder heads are also unique, and carry different camshafts than the Ducar. Additionally, the ECU is unique, sharing nothing with the naked bike. KTM engineers fine-tuned this engine to give it a power band that's more suitable for a luxury adventure tourer than a complete nutcase like the Super Duke. Our claimed horsepower is 160, compared to the Duke R's 177, and peak torque is rated at 103 pound-feet. KTM says there's substantial torque over a spread of 7,500 RPM. The press introduction and ride for the new Super Adventure took place on Gran Canaria, the second largest island in the archipelago off the coast of northwest Africa. This felt appropriate, because I had ridden the 1190 Adventure on neighboring Tenerife for the first time 2 years ago. It was after riding that bike that I returned and told the rest of the Cycle World staff that the 1190 might just be the single best motorcycle ever made. Now, though, after spending 2 days exploring the inner island's vast wealth of twisty roads, I have to say that this new bike trumps the 1190. The first thing you must know about the Super Adventure is this: it possesses almost a diabolical amount of performance. Despite all of the amazing electronics put in place to save your butt when you can't restrain yourself, it's still an animal of the most predatory nature. To get a true sense of what lies underneath the layers of intervention, I shut off the TC completely, which also happens to allow the bike to wheel undeterred. As we headed up into the mountains at a brisk pace, I quickly discovered what a nasty, in a good way, machine KTM has built. Like the Super Duke R that preceded it, the Super Adventure produces instant and amazing acceleration. The front tire just skims the road surface at times, or occasionally snap into huge wheelies. This is truly amazing when you consider how composed the Super Adventure is when all of its electronic systems are turned on.